Hey everybody, guess what? It's another This Week in Nano, where the core team joins me and tells you a little bit about what's been going on this week. So we got a couple regulars, at least they're becoming regulars, I guess, and some new people. So why don't we start by introducing ourselves? I'm Sean. I do the Nanocast.
I'm Troy. I do public relations and communications for Nano.
I'm Austin. I help out Troy with whatever he needs.
I'm Roy. I do development for Nano.
I'm Lee. I also do development. I've been working on Epoch blocks recently.
Awesome. So as always, there's a ton going on in the Nano ecosystem, and it seems like the breadth of things going on gets wider and wider as weeks goes on. So we can't always talk about everything. But one big thing that's happening this week is the KPI tournament thing going on. Somebody want to fill us in on what that is and what's happening?
Yeah, Austin, take that.
Yeah, so Nano KPI, the event kicked off in Valencia, Spain yesterday. So we've got a booth set up. We've got some community members that are on site there. Mike, who's the CEO of KPI Gaming, has changed the name to Nano KPI. They're going to be competing in, I think it's just under 20 hours from now. And we're going to post live streams so everyone can jump in. It's a CSGO tournament. And it's basically the Spain Nationals. So ESL Master Series, Season 3, I believe.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't seen either the booth that they have set up, which looks incredible, or the jerseys I would literally wear that jersey every day for everything. It's awesome. And I'm really excited seeing it on the live stream. But you can check out our subreddit. We have there's a lot of coverage on it. We have a sticky thread on there right now. So yeah, definitely be sure to come and check it out and show support for them.
Cool, and it's already, I mean, it's going on. Is there any notable updates since it started?
Yeah, so I think the big thing, I mean, we're getting a lot of feedback, a lot of learnings from the community members that are on site there. We have a lot of people that are obviously heavily involved in gaming that know a lot about crypto, and we're basically getting feedback from them from what our marketing message is to them about fast and fearless, and they're giving us some really good feedback. So you can actually follow me on Twitter at @Ramsdale, and they're tweeting hashtags to me, and I'm responding. We've got the Nano tip bot going. You're going to be able to see Twitter moments here soon with all of the photos from the event. That should be up there today, so pretty cool.
Awesome. And then another Nano Center initiative. There's something brewing up called NanoSMS. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, so NanoSMS was developed by James Coxon, who has worked on Ray blocks and nano-related stuff for years. His sister George is on the core team. James just tinkers and develops just unbelievable things. Hope to share even more of what he's been able to put together in his spare time. I mean, literally his spare time pretty soon. But one of the things he has developed is NanoSMS. And it's basically you are able to, I guess it works a lot like the tip bot, Austin, where you are able to send Nano over text messages. So you get creates your own account for your phone number. Is it correct?
So it links to your phone number, and anybody can go on to the Nano Center, which if you're not familiar with the Nano Center, go back to last week's This Week in Nano and check that one out, and check out the episode of Nanocast where Sean interviews the Nano Center guys. But they've got a project proposal up. Their Discord's open. They've got some rooms set up specifically for the NanoSMS. And they're trying to get through and solve problems like SMS spoofing and how to handle two-factor authentication and make sure that the SMS is secure. So if anybody has experience in SMS, and I think it's Twilio is what they're using, jump into Discord, go check out the proposal. They're not taking donations just yet, but they will be very soon for that project.
Awesome. And there was also interesting development in Venezuela, the way the Nano community stepped up, got a lot of press. Somebody want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's a guy who's going by the name Hector down in Venezuela. We talked about it a little last week, but it's kind of blown up here since then. just unbelievable amount of press and articles written about it, and it's just kind of growing the initiative. So basically, the community is almost doing adopt-a-families. I believe that's the goal, doing adopt-a-families down in Venezuela to help them kind of with the crisis that their economy is going through. So we've just seen an unbelievable outpouring of support there. Some great pictures that we've gotten, which you can just see the different people down there with the amount of food that they've been able to purchase. And again, like they're purchasing it straight with Nano. They're not using, people are not sending them Nano and they're converting it to the Bolivar. They're spending it straight as Nano and just getting the food, and it's awesome. Love to see it. And we're here to help with that as much as possible, whether it's kind of vetting the people, and they can reach out to us. Obviously it's cryptocurrency, so everybody's worried about getting scammed one way or another, and we are here. We are willing to help with anything that we can there. Just kind of as a trusted trusted people that we can help vet these people or kind of talk with them and whatever's needed, please just let us know, and we're here to help.
Sweet. And there was a new exchange launched this week. I've got some questions about that, but what exchange was that?
It's BitInka. BitInka is located, I believe, in Peru. It mainly focuses on Latin America, and it's a fiat on-ramp for, I believe, 9 different currencies. So you're not able to use it in the United States, but it really focuses on Brazil and Peru and Chile and Colombia, I believe. It does have a USD on-ramp, but you need to be in those countries to access it. It's just another thing where Nano's going global. We want these on-ramps so anybody anywhere can access it easily and directly from their country's currency. So thank you, BitInka. Look forward to watching that grow.
Cool. So, the main question is, what exchange next?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, and then
always pushing the limits.
I have like just a sheet on my computer with all of the stock responses to that that question, and one after another. I just go, I'll just copy it and paste it in.
Right.
Not as bad as it was back in January. I think that was every other question I was answered. When?
When? When's the wallet? When's Coinbase? That's what everyone wants to know, right? All right, but we're not going to address that. You highlighted Nanote this past week.
I did. So this is my 4th third-party project that I highlighted. Jeff Kilroy, who is a huge part of the Nano Center, he developed Nanote. It's a great little application where you're able to either tip people directly from your web browser, or the websites can create basically a form that makes it easy to donate Nano to them. And you can send a little message along with that, so it's less anonymous than just adding in an address on the bottom of the screen. And my favorite part is the browser extension, which lets you easily copy the little Nano logo. I don't know if you guys have seen that on the subreddit that they're using, but it's basically like using the alt codes. You can make the little Nano logo with the circle. So he's got that built right in there. So please, everybody, go check out Nano. Yeah, it's just another great part of the ecosystem. That's what it's all about, just growing out the ecosystem and just making Nano easy and accessible for anybody to use. So thank you, Jeff.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. And if you want to learn more about Jeff, I did an episode with him on the Nanocast. Lots of good stuff in there. All right, so a couple of the guys that haven't talked so much, let's focus on a little bit on some development stuff and all the partying they do. So Roy, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, kind of what your background is, how you got hooked up with Nano, and what you're working on.
All right. Yeah, my name's Roy. I've started with getting involved with Nano in January, and now the development lead as of like a month ago, I think. And so I work on all kinds of things. My previous jobs were software development, system administration, networking, mostly for the U.S. government, either the Department of Defense or other federal agencies, but also for some smaller private entities as well.
Sweet.
And I've worked on a few different things. Right now I'm working on improving the bootstrapping process and facilitating any of the other developers in any way I can, trying to make sure that everyone is doing development, including Troy, who's working on a browser extension to
That's right.
Yeah, to make Nano more easily used on web pages, similar to MetaMask makes Ethereum.
Yeah. Stay tuned. It's coming. Bowman wallet. It's happening.
I think that was the This Week in Nano exclusive.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about some of the changes? Just maybe a list of all the changes you're making to make the protocol more efficient, make it better?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of them. The one I'm working on right now is called lazy bootstrapping, which changes the bootstrapping mechanism to more of a light wallet style, where the nodes will pull 4 blocks in the accounts they're interested in, rather than trying to pull the whole ledger before you can do anything with it. So it'll mean that node online, whether it'll be a full node in a sense, but it won't have the entire ledger, just enough to validate all of its own transactions or any new transactions that come in as it sees the votes for those. It'll pull down that entire validated chain recursively, validating additional changes it needs to. So you'll get what you need exactly when you need it, and you won't have to wait before you can start using your ledger. Other than that, the other things that we're working on to make the bootstrapping process, we're going to add some new bootstrapping methods in support of the lazy bootstrapping, but they'll also be more generally useful for light wallets. So light wallets won't have to talk to dedicated light relays. They'll be able to talk to any bootstrapping node. So it'll help to further reduce centralization. So you won't need any special nodes for light wallets anymore.
All right, and we've got Lee. Lee, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what your background is, how you got involved in Nano, and what you're working on now?
Sure. So I've been programming for a while. My last couple of jobs have been mainly with websites, and I've also done some work with infrastructure around development, like Travis. I got started in Nano with its bug bounty program. I saw the high amounts there, and I decided to look more into the node and how it worked. And that got me really interested, because I immediately saw that it could definitely work a lot better than existing cryptocurrencies. So yeah, that's how I started at Nano, and then with the bug bounty, and I moved more into development on the node from security issues, and that's where I'm working today.
So Lee's been working on the epoch blocks. Can you? We had some questions on Reddit about kind of what they were and why they were needed. Can you kind of give us a little overview?
Sure. So you've probably heard of universal blocks, also called state blocks, and they're an improvement to the protocol, and they merge all of the existing block types into one state blocks. So we've now enabled state blocks, and wallets by default will generate state blocks, but there's nothing preventing new legacy blocks from being added to the blockchain. And epoch blocks are a way to disable those old legacy blocks and make sure that we only have state blocks in the future.
Awesome. So it's basically finishing the upgrade.
Yeah.
And it's
Awesome.
also a more generic mechanism in the future for versioning the chain. So as chains go on, we can end an era. So the epoch block, this one ends the era of account version 0, where you could have old style blocks. So now it begins at the same time it ends an era, it begins a new one. And so this is era 1 for accounts, where you can only do state blocks. So we're now in a new era for Nano.
Yeah.
Awesome. We had some questions, and I've kind of seen it going around a little bit, where people are just a little confused about our voting mechanism. I know I was talking with somebody on the cryptocurrency subreddit the other day, and was talking with Roy about it. But if you guys could just kind of go over, I mean, we need to, kind of get some documentation on it, and we'll be working on that. But kind of like when nodes are voting and how quorum is reached, and kind of how we stop, Nano works to prevent double spends. I think it'd be pretty interesting to have you guys talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. And so Nano is a delegated proof of stake consensus mechanism. So votes are done by delegates rather than individual stakeholders or account holders. So each individual stakeholder elects and can change their election at any time of a delegate that represents their stake in the network. We call them representatives. So when a new block is seen on the network, the representatives by the network, I mean the peer-to-peer network, which is UDP based. So think of it as a broadcast style network where anything inserted into it, reaches all nodes pretty much immediately. So a transaction begins by somebody creating a block and then sending it to the network, which then all other nodes see. Some of those nodes are delegates or representatives. And when those nodes see a block they haven't seen before, they will emit votes for it. And those votes tell the other nodes the name of the address of the delegate that's a representative that's voting and how much they're voting for by extension, because all the other nodes have that information in their ledger. And so once a block reaches a certain threshold, which is 50%, a little bit more than 50%, then we know that that block can't be spent, that block can't be spent again, essentially, because it's all based on the predecessor. The previous block can only have one legitimate successor, which is this block, if it's reached more than 50%. And so if that through the peer-to-peer network, that's then confirmed and then inserted into the ledger as a confirmed block. The other way votes are done is through the secondary peer-to-peer network we have, which is called bootstrapping, where you pull in blocks in bulk that are not new. They're not just been created and now being broadcast to everyone. Instead, they've been around for a while and you're just out of date for whatever reason. So part of pulling in those, the ledger, piece by piece, efficiently is also being able to verify that the parts of the ledger you pulled in are valid to the rest of the network. You're trying to reach consensus. There's no truth. There's only what other people believe. So we're trying to reach a state of consensus where I agree with you, everybody agrees with everybody by extension. So what happens then is that we'll go out and ask the rest of the network for votes on the block that just pulled in and verify that it gets 50% or more for inserting it into its local ledger. And there's a bit of a chicken and egg problem there, because as you're building up the ledger piece by piece, you don't have an accurate view of the weights of the representatives that you're asking for votes, because you haven't got enough of the ledger to see who has what voting power by election, by delegation. So there's the node itself actually has a current view of the network voting power built in that is refreshed whenever that's released, called the bootstrap built-ins. And it just tells you how much until your ledger, your local ledger, is large enough, which there's heuristics around that, to know what the current network looks like to everyone else as far as voting. Before it reaches that state where it has enough information about the whole ledger to assign weights appropriately to votes, uses those built-in weights during bootstrapping. Each block during bootstrapping gets confirmed that way as well. So no blocks get inserted into the local ledger as confirmed blocks until they've been voted on, whether it's coming through the peer-to-peer network over UDP, or which is separate from the peer-to-peer network that's bootstrapping. But either way, all the blocks get voted on before they're inserted into the ledger, and before there's enough of the local ledger during bootstrapping to vote or to assign weights to vote, that has an internal mechanism to know what those representatives are. And that's just distributed with the software. It's a pre-bootstrapping step to get rid of that chicken and the egg problem. So Lee also will correct any mistakes I make here, because he works on the voting and consensus a lot as well.
Yeah, that sounded about right. So just to summarize, when you have a new block, representatives will be automatically voting on it whenever they hear about a new block. So that's the one form of consensus, and that's what active draft will eventually improve. And then there's the other form of consensus where you're catching up, and these blocks aren't recent. And that's what lazy bootstrapping will improve. So those are like the two halves of our consensus system.
Another big piece of news is the bug bounty program. There was a bug bounty program once upon a time. It was kind of closed, and then it's opened up this week. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so there's never not been a bug bounty program. So I get that people were confused when we introduced this bug bounty program the other day. But we've had a bug bounty program going since January. The problem that we came upon was that it was handled through a Google form, and I think Zach was just getting a ton of submissions asking for basically like typos. I mean, it was literally, we were getting all kinds of stuff. So we had contacted HackerOne. They had been running the bug bounty program, but it had been private to their hackers. So this past week, we opened it up to the public. So you can now, it's like just an easy way to submit the bugs through HackerOne. And you know, the amounts for the bugs were decreased, and we used the numbers suggested to us by HackerOne. The reason that they are lower is because we have several different things that are basically being reviewed. So like if we have the website on there and there's a critical bug in the website, that's kind of different than a critical bug in the protocol. So if you have a critical bug in the protocol, please do not think that you are limited to the bounty that is shown as the maximum on there. We will work with you on that, and it will be higher. So please don't be discouraged there. I was talking to some people yesterday. Zach was adding that to the HackerOne website. That is not a set maximum for working on the protocol. But yeah, please love it. We love the community getting involved. We love people reviewing it. We love working with everybody here. So please just get involved, hop in there. If you have anything, just let us know.
All right. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you guys want to make sure we talked about this week?
The multi-sig stuff would be interesting. I know that Troy and Lee are both interested in multi-sig.
Yeah, so I recently made a library for multi-signature for Nano, and its big limitation is currently that it's only for N of N. So you could, with this library, you can create an address where all three people, say, have to sign to use this address, but you couldn't do 2 of 3 as of right now. So that said, the library is done and it's working, and I'm hoping that third-party wallets will integrate it. We'll also try to integrate it here, or we'll also try to integrate it into the Nano Wallet company wallets, but I will say that we'll probably need to change some user interface stuff with that first. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can get multi-signature in third-party wallets hopefully soon. Depends on the user interface.
Yeah, and Roy, you built a kind of standalone multi-sig wallet?
Yeah, we had a project where we needed to have N of M multi-sig, and we were still researching the methods used by the true multi-sig. So I built a real basic multi-sig wallet where M keys are generated, and you need M minus 1 of those keys to assemble a full seed, and then that is then used to sign a transaction. But that was a real preliminary and stopgap measure, just because we knew we could get it going quickly, and we had a timeline for that project, and it worked. We knew it would work for the requirements of N of M. And so the requirement there then dictated that it had to be run on a trusted device that was then, basically destroyed afterwards, because otherwise the seed would be pulled from its memory. So that was really just a temporary but obvious implementation. The stuff that Lee's working on uses a true multi-sig approach where the seed is never assembled. Instead, each party must contribute their part of the signature to assemble the whole thing. And you can construct InnoVim on top of it. It's just more work than using InnoVim, which is the very basic construct. I believe that came out of some work from Blockstream called musing, and looked into it earlier, and I just wasn't sure it applied to ED 25519, which is our signature algorithm. But I believe that we'll get it going with Curve 25519 and apply the same mechanism. So it all looks like it's working good.
Awesome.
Great. Well, this is where I pretend like I know what you're talking about and say, well, that was really, really great information. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm sure there's many people that are going to watch this that are going to like this a lot more. Now, because of some of connection issues we've had during this call, we've seen Roy in a still holding that Bud Light a lot. So let us in on this. What's going on?
Oh, I'll share the picture. I think, yeah, like 5 people get the joke right now, but we have just a phenomenal picture of Roy. Okay. Gut in all its glory, holding the case of Bud Light. It's kind of been our internal thing here for the past few months, but I think it's time the public gets to see it.
Yeah, we were in LA, and we got kicked out of our Airbnb, so Roy has to maintain a constant approximation to Bud Light, so we had to bring it with us.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, thanks all of you for being on, giving the community this update. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.